MMA Rants and Raves, UFC 124. Stefan Struve versus McCorkle. Guys, let's talk about this fight. Shortly into the fight, it seemed like McCorkle was trying to get inside on Struve, and he did. And he was able to lift Stefan Struve off the ground and slam him. I'm like, wow. I mean, did I just see that? This guy is over 250 pounds, and he was able to pick this guy up pretty much with ease and slam him. So, McCorkle's a big, strong guy. And he was able to get this takedown and then control his opponent. Then he went for a Kimura. And after he was going for that Kimura, it seemed like Struve, good instinct. I wanted to mention this point I want to make for a 22-year-old kid. This guy was using his left hand trying to push the action with his opponent on top back to the cage. And, he knew probably in advance, if I can get to the cage, maybe I can wall walk my way back up. I guess that's not a position you want to be in. And then, of course, it came to his advantage as well, because the Kimura that McCorkle was trying to implement was being blocked by the cage itself. It was like a wall protecting his arm from going too far back to complete the submission. So it helped him in two ways, in a way. So after this happened, basically McCorkle was very good at continuing to keep top position, despite the fact that Struve was kind of spinning around and, trying to either get out of the position or to reverse the position. And basically it was to no avail. It just, McCorkle kept on staying on top. And, it wasn't long before somehow, some way, Stefan Struve just completely reversed the position. He was able to, spin McCorkle, and he was able to gain top position into a full mount. I couldn't believe it. Here he was, basically on the bottom, and he was able to spin it around, and he got full mount. So it was like a complete 180 from one guy being, dominant, and then you just switched the whole position and the whole momentum of the fight, completely the opposite, and even more so because now you have a full mount. And boy, that was the beginning of the end. He started raining down ground and pound and elbows. And that was the beginning of the end for McCorkle in this fight. The ref stopped it and Struve took the victory. Now, there's a point I want to make here. And the point is about this heavyweight division, guys. I was one of the big believers that the heavyweight division, not that long ago, was the most stacked division in the UFC. But now look at it. What's the future of this division? Let's look at the heavyweight division right now. You have Brock Lesnar. There's some kind of talk, him going to the WWE. I don't think there's anything to that, but, he was banged up in that fight, so what's going to happen with him? You have Shane Carwin, back surgery at 35 years old. Who knows what's going to happen, when he'll be back, what the situation is. Then you have, Roy Nelson with the contract issues. He had a procedure done on his knee that he mentioned. You have Nogueira out. When is he going to be back? What's the future of his career? Mirko Krokop, what's his future? So, you have all these guys. The guys that I just mentioned, all top-ranked heavyweights. These are the top guys in the UFC, some of the top heavyweights in the UFC, and they're basically question marks are out. So here you have a guy in Stefan Struve, right? 22 years old. The potential is there. He just has to get better, of course. And, here you have a kid 22 years old, and he seems to get better. His past two fights, one of the marks of a really good fighter is when you're down and you're able to come back, and that's what he did in these two fights. In the last fight, he was, it looked like he was in serious trouble, comes back and, gets a big win. And then in this fight, same thing. Looked like he was in trouble. It looked like he was almost nearly submitted, and then look what happens. He not only wins the fight, he finishes. So, here's a guy who might have some potential. So, anyway, I would like to know what you thought about the fight and the future of the UFC heavyweight division. Please leave your comments below the video, rate this video, and subscribe. And thank you for tuning in.